Developed, created, and owned by James PoeArtistry Productions.
Humans have shown a great capacity to show love to all sorts of people and at the same time do the opposite as well. What are we talking about? We're talking about discrimination. You perceptive readers have heard me or I, James Lynch Jr., talk about over the years the reason why we do not go beyond certain things written in the spiritual manner or matter from God is because once it gets into that area of crossing those type of lines, you see humans start to sometimes justify and accept all sorts of things, but they will do it in its seemingly logicalness, a logical manner, and sometimes actually in a condescending manner. What do I mean by that? Well, today, see, sometimes persons will link what humans have the freedom to do as far as, personal boundaries, you see, uh, as being the same as also in a professional sense, um, basically implementing discrimination and discrimination in areas that it has no business being discrimination in. It has nothing to do with their personal boundaries or their belief systems. And one thing that I've noticed, I'm going to elaborate more further on that, but one thing that I've noticed in these cases, sometimes some of the same persons who will try to make decisions about um, what group of people you should talk to or not talk to, what group of people you should do business with and not do business with. Well, this is what I mean by the condescending. I've actually observed at times the same persons who would talk about to others that they shouldn't associate with this group or talk with that group or this group, that they would be the same ones that think they're more qualified or understanding to still actually talk to that very group that they're condemning to you. And that is so sad, but all the same, as you heard me say, people do what they want to do. But I want to give you an example on how, as I stated before, going beyond what is written, like according to what Jesus said, can cause problems. Right now on the PocbooksCrypto website, I gave you something as a reference, and it is the life story of Jane Pittman. And it deals with the civil rights era, the discrimination. See, the discrimination, guess what it was dealing with a lot? It actually dealt with the discrimination, and this happened in the United States. But just because I mentioned the United States, hopefully nobody will go away trying to say United States bad, because you heard me say before that these things happen all over the world, whether you realize it or not. And just like, I've heard in times past, every so many years, there's always somebody who's promoted to talk about leave the country and this and that. Well, again, they have that choice. But it's so interesting that these same ones that talk about leaving the country, yeah, they have the funds to do so. They live in abundance and things of that nature. And the system has been good to them because they went right along with the system. So the whole point is to sit up there and tell somebody that where their location is, it's bad and this and that or what have you. But as I mentioned before, really won't lift a finger to give them what they would, what they need in the first case. You see, again, that's their choice. But see, let me continue along with the discrimination. See, in the Jane Pittman life story, it shows the harsh reality of what happened during slavery. And then even down to the day going into the 50s and 60s, that did you know, for some of you who don't happen to be of the bronze skin complexion, that that their ancestors, their mothers, their fathers, their grandmas, and things of that nature. Did you know that they couldn't even go into any of these businesses? You see, with a public front that was actually connected to the sidewalk, that was a restaurant. You see, for serving the public, they couldn't even get a glass of water. They couldn't even drink from a water fountain. And they made it very obvious with the signs, even calling out that skin color, if you will, to let them know that their skin color just wasn't welcome to even be served basic humanitarian needs. See, needs like water, needs like if the person wasn't feeling well, it's like, oh, if they saw that the person was really feeling bad or something like that, somebody's heart might have been moved, so that you just go around the back and I'll see if I can get you some aspirin or something, and then, or if they provided you with a cup of water, it was one that was certainly only designated for something that they might not even given to their dog or pet or animals. So I'm giving you this example because when it comes to business again and the superior authorities, as I mentioned, for the most part, people should be able to live their lives. And you can do business with whoever you want, to do business with or not do business with. But see, let me tell you what I told you about when persons try to create a narrative or paint a certain picture and create a apples and oranges situations. This is what I mean. Sometimes you will hear about somebody not serving this person or that person, and you don't always get the full story of why the person wasn't served. See, sometimes it was still really based on outright discrimination and hate. Now, granted, there are some groups that are opposed, you see, to the words of Jesus. Really, there are. But if, you see, sometimes there's special services, like special rooms that some of these buildings will have. And this happened before, within the past 5 years or 10 years, I believe, where because of the belief system of this family-owned restaurant or what have you, they did not, allow the room to be rented out in that way, you see, in that way of what they wanted to rent out. And of course, again, like I said, that is their choice. The room was not, as I'm going to say, designated to ever be used in this type of function. You see, look at it as on these college campuses. Are there not certain rooms and locations that, hey, sometimes they might give you a general tour, but you couldn't walk in that college campus or that room or that fraternity and say, hey, I want to use it for this, because they'll say again, not only are you not part of this certain belief system, as you will, but you're not, once again, dedicated to this group or belief system. So this room is not, you see, open to the general public in this area and way. So that's okay. That's okay. But see, as I said before, it would be another thing if the same persons have, like I said, a public place of eating or what have you. Here it is, just the general foods and things. It doesn't matter. But, I always say, again, it's connected to the sidewalk to be a public business, public front in that area. So no matter who comes in there and just sits down and eat, should they not, you see, be able to get a meal? They're not up, trying to promote some other function. They're coming there just to eat. See, and that's the thing that I want you to keep in mind when it comes to making your decisions and you're running your businesses. Yes, you have a right to serve or not serve certain persons. And once again, in the specific way. If something is designated for the public, again, as I used the reference points of Jane Pittman, a person of a different color, belief system or whatever, come in to walk in just to buy that item, then, it will really show how far the discrimination can go in that area. And see, and I don't want to get too specific in that. That's why I just went on ahead and gave you the reference of the life of Jane Pittman. You watch that show, and many of you will not come away from it being the same. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You have just listened to the Perceptive Readers Podcast. Remember, until next time, if you read something that encourages you to improve or enhance your life for the better, it becomes your reality.